Alright, this is Travis Wayne Goodsell. I just got through checking YouTube and they pulled up a video that they thought I might be interested in because they don't have it set up right. But it was from a Mormon woman. She seemed sweet and kind. And 4 days ago, she decided, because the Spirit prompted her, as she says, to do a Book of Mormon class, and she did class number 1, and that's what she titled herself as Book of Mormon class. And so I thought I was curious and listened, and only lasted a couple of minutes because she said all the things that I've been warning you guys about how things are not just spiritual. You've got to confirm them physically. And since she is doing a Book of Mormon class, I thought I would, yes, I will do a Book of Mormon class. I already did one on my website. I got 13 lessons in, and yeah, on my website, it's in the archives under LDS, and then under Book of Mormon. And so 13 lessons, and the first one was back on July 29th, 2018, and I've got alright, yeah, I'm expecting the Bug Man anytime, within any minute now, so I hope I don't have to pause. Alright, so the question is, should I just read it to you guys? Probably should, rather than just ramble off. And so it shouldn't take too long. It's not as long as number 13. 13 was a long one. Alright, so when Joseph Smith would talk about the angel visiting him in his room and at the hill to get the plates, he always mentioned his name as Nephi, not Moroni. Joseph Smith was consistent with this all through to his death. Strange how it would be under Brigham Young that would result in the change in Joseph's records to the name Moroni. The first books of the Book of Mormon are what is referred to as the Plates of Nephi. This was the replacement of the 116 pages which Martin Harris blamed his wife for losing. Martin Harris was the initial financier of the Book of Mormon and got to write what Joseph told him to write, yet Martin was not allowed to see the plates. Martin was also placed at the head of the anti-Masonic movement group in the area. Both Joseph Smith Sr. and Hiram Smith are confirmed Freemasons, being on the records of the respective lodges. The Book of Mormon began being written by Martin just after the disappearance of William Morgan, who had been going around the area telling everyone about an Illuminati threat to use the Scottish Rites Freemasons to infiltrate the United States government, take over control of the government, and over time destroy it under a new world order. Also, in these early 1800s, businesses were pushing the new government to expand west, but to do this they had to take away the land of the native Indians and push them west until extinction. Businesses back then utilized black African slaves, another ethnic group suppressed and diminished as subhuman. This is the historical background of the Book of Mormon, which the church will not disclose to even its own membership. So all we can do is assemble the historical facts to see what the resulting puzzle is, since no one is telling us what that puzzle is, especially not the organization claiming to be the true succession of Joseph's. With Martin being anti-Mason and the Smith family being pro-Mason, one can see clearly that if the Book of Mormon supported Freemasonry, Martin would be upset and pull his support and funding. Thus, the 116 pages were destroyed because they supported Freemasonry a little too much for Martin's taste. And thus, what we currently have is a dumbed-down version, or rather, an encoded Freemasonic book. To know this, we need to know that the Freemasons believed they were descended from the Mason builders of the Temple of Solomon, the son of King David of the Israelites, from the house of Judah, according to the Old Testament. Thus, the Freemasonic lodges were called temples before the anti-Masonic movement, and afterward called cultural halls. Thus, Freemasons are from Jerusalem. And I quote from the preface of the first book of Nephi, "An account of Lehi and his wife Sariah, and his 4 sons being called, beginning at the eldest, Laman, Lemuel, Sam, and Nephi. The Lord warns Nephi to depart out of the land of Jerusalem, because he prophesieth unto the people concerning their iniquity, and they seek to destroy his life. He taketh 3 days' journey into the wilderness with his family. Nephi taketh his brethren, and returneth to the land of Jerusalem, after the record of the Jews, the account of their sufferings. They take the daughters of Ishmael to wife, they take their families and depart into the wilderness, their sufferings and afflictions in the wilderness, the course of their travels. They come to the large waters. Nephi's brethren rebel against him, he confoundeth them, and buildeth a ship. They call the name of the place Bountiful. They cross the large waters into the promised land, and so forth. This is according to the account of Nephi, or in other words, I, Nephi, wrote this record." Somebody's knocking it, maybe the bugman. Okay, false alarm, but I found that somebody had stolen my paper from the door, so I'm not happy with that. So there's something foul afoot. All right, so let's see. This is according to the account of Nephi, or in other words, I, Nephi, wrote this record. Notice all of these names are Old Testament names, even Nephi. And Nehemiah called this thing Naphthar, which is as much as to say a cleansing, but many men call it Nephi, from 2 Maccabees 1:36. Curious how the church does not include the Apocrypha with their Old Testament, even after Joseph Smith said it didn't need a revision, being good as it is. See Doctrine and Covenants, section 91. Notice the setting at the beginning of the book of Nephi, the time of the destruction of Jerusalem by Babylon. I wonder if this theme is carried out through the second book called the Book of Mormon, or its sub-book, the Book of Ether. No, not really. I'm writing this because I already know the answer. Nephi's family are from Jerusalem, but they are through Joseph of Egypt, not Judah, but are still temple builders in the Promised Land, which is the new America when this book is written. What a coincidence. Interestingly, the Old Testament is called the record of the Jews, when it is actually the record of Joseph through Ephraim. More about this in an upcoming lesson. The breastplates. Mormons already know this. So, to sum up this first lesson, there is a tie to Freemasonry, the Book of Mormon, and William Morgan, and the anti-Masonic movement in the expanding New America. This tie is crucial for all of us in this year, 2018, carrying over into 2019, and not just for Mormons, but for all those who are anti-Mormon as well. So I'll try to make sure to put the link for this Mormon lady who is doing the lessons on the Book of Mormon, so that you can compare and contrast her technique and the false doctrinal principles that are creeping in, that are taking over the Mormon Church now. It's no longer creeping in. It's the new doctrine for the church. Versus my method of sticking to the facts, sticking to the evidence. And it will shock you to actually do the comparison. And I hope maybe this will help Mormons realize what it is that they're doing wrong. Because as much as she's a sweet lady, I don't know her. I just listened to her for a couple of minutes. But yeah, it's clear she has been brainwashed. Plain and simple. Great lady, but brainwashed. And so what she's presenting is a case for faith without any evidence to ever happen, so that you always have a perpetual faith. And so, yeah, it boggles the mind. Because, I mean, you can have faith that the sun will shine in the morning, but what do you do when the sun shines if you keep having faith? I believe it'll still be shining. Because at that point you now know. So, yeah, compare the two of us and see if you can figure out who is telling the truth.